All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to stop my video. But today we have Jess Koshi-Lum and Manny Serrano, who are from San Mateo County Public Library. Jess is a community library manager, and Manny is a community program specialist there. And they're doing a presentation on navigating AI in libraries, and we are really happy to have them here. Jess might catch up with us in a minute, but I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen so Manny can get started.
All right, thank you so much, Michaela. Yeah, so I'm not sure if Jess will be able to join us. We'll see, but for now, I'll proceed. So let me know if you can see that. I'm going to get my screen shared. And do you see it? Cool. So again, my name is Manny Serrano. I'm a community technology specialist for San Mateo County Libraries, and Jess is our community library manager. So let's get into it. So who are we? We are not experts. We do not work as AI researchers. We are just two library workers that are very enthusiastic about technology, tinkering. We like productivity tools. We like to stay up to date with, what's going on in the world. We are right in between San Francisco and Silicon Valley. So on our way home from work on a highway, we have billboards here in San Mateo County for all of these different computer programs, SQL, SEO optimization, AI. It's everywhere. So while you're just driving down the highway, you'll see a lot of advertisements because this is where the hub is. We have a lot of technology. A lot of these programs that we're going to be talking about were developed here in San Francisco. So it's just something that we're always chatting about. Some of our patrons work for Apple and other companies, so it's really cool to kind of be in the mix and interact with people that are working in these institutions. So I kind of want to go over the agenda today so everybody knows what we're up to. And in case you tune out, or you can tune back in. So we're going to first talk about what is AI. We're going to just have like a general conversation about that. I'm going to go over some of the common uses that we see and that we're used to. And then most importantly, we're going to talk about some of the ethical considerations, some of the concerns that we as humans have about this technology. I'm going to have a video about ChatGPT as well as a little explanation afterwards. And we're also going to be talking about another program called Scribe. So these are both super cool. I'm going to be going through them a little quick, but I promise you at the end, you're going to get a big QR code on the screen. You're going to be able to watch you're going to be able to see the PDF version of what we went through, as well as the chat log that we had with ChatGPT. So just warning you now, I might go kind of quick, but you'll have access to it. You get to keep it afterwards. And then if you have questions, please do save them for the end. I'm going to be having a little bit of Q&A session at the end of it. So hopefully we'll be able to answer your questions. All right, so we'll get into it here. So what is artificial intelligence? So this is a word that we've heard a lot lately. A couple of years ago, we just called them algorithms, but now it seems like every company wants to just call them artificial intelligence. So let's kind of dissect what that means. So in theory, in conversations, AI is referred to as a development or the capability of computer systems with the ability to reason, learn, and act in a way that would normally require human intelligence. So the ability for these algorithms to kind of mimic human behavior. There's a couple different types of AI. The one that we hear about in movies and sci-fi is the general intelligence, the superhuman advanced form of AI that's able to understand, learn, apply knowledge across all tasks, and it's super powerful. This doesn't really exist, at least not yet. So this is still theoretical. What we have nowadays is what's referred to as narrow AI or weak AI. This is a program that has been developed to do one thing. So it's very, very good at recognizing speech. It's very, very good at making decisions based on data that it's pulled before. And it's very, very good at identifying patterns that might be hard to recognize if it's very minute. So this is, again, like Netflix suggesting movies or Amazon recommending products. Like we used to call these the algorithm, social media algorithms, the suggestion algorithm. But now people have been kind of referring to them as artificial intelligence, most likely because the word intelligence just kind of implies that it's very, very good and is very, very smart. So I think that's kind of a marketing scheme to some extent. Some of the common uses that we might already be familiar with is smartphones and predictive text. So anytime that you pull out your either iPhone or Android phone and you're typing something, you might already get the next word that is guessed or that the algorithm thinks you might say. So if you type in the word hello, the next word might be how, and then the next word would be are, and then after that, you. So you can kind of use that because it's learning from you, the way that you talk. If you always say the same things, then there's a good chance you're going to say it again. You could also be learning from other places and other speech patterns. Other things that we use are navigation apps. So when we're coming home from work or going to work, sometimes we'll check Google Maps or Apple Maps. And sometimes people lean towards Google Maps or Waze as opposed to Apple Maps because they have really up-to-date data. So they're pulling information from the drivers that are out there right now using these apps, and they're realizing that this person's going 20 miles below the speed limit. Maybe there's traffic. Let's go ahead and mark it orange or red on your map. Social media algorithms, so again, engagement, things that are personalized for your feed. So when I go on Instagram, it probably looks different than when you go on Instagram, not just because we follow different people, but also we have different interests, and the application has recognized some of that. So it's able to kind of provide us with things that we might like, we might engage with, maybe things that we really hate and don't like, and somehow we still engage with things that upset us. So it might push things like that. Voice to text recognition. So I'm sure that we've all used either Siri, Hey Google, Alexa. These are all being trained on speech patterns. So I talk a little different than you talk, and it's able to take a broad range of accents, tones, dialects, and turn them into speech, turn that speech into text that can be then processed, give you a response. Email filtering, this has been going on forever, but there's a lot of spam, junk mail that you're not getting that's being redirected because it's able to catch certain patterns. That way that people who are trying to scam you or get a little bit of information about you might have patterns in the way that they message things or urgencies, telling you that you need to send gift cards right now in the next 10 seconds or else. It might recognize things like that, be able to filter it. Image and face recognition. So again, Google and Apple both do this. If you take photos of people, eventually it'll kind of realize that some people, it'll recognize as people. So you'll get notified on your phone that, is this person the same as this one? And it's yes. And then it's able to create an entire album of photos of that person. Same thing if you have a newer iPhone. We used to be able to use their fingerprint to unlock our phones, but now it's scanning our face. And it's not just taking a picture of our face, it's actually a little bit more sophisticated. It's using lasers that are invisible to our eye to kind of plot a graph on our face. And then it's able to figure out if it's really you, depending on how your nose is, your cheekbones, things like that. And then customer support chatbots. We used to be able to call any company and get a human being, and it's becoming a little bit more scarce to do that. It's a little easier to just get a chatbot that doesn't ever get sick or ask for days off or make mistakes. But unfortunately, they do make mistakes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But those are some of the common uses. Again, these algorithms, AI, they kind of get the same terminology. These things have existed before 2020 in other areas, such as Libby. So here, San Mateo County Libraries, we partnered with Overdrive. They provide this application Libby. In 2019, Libby stated that at least 40% of all of their chats with the chatbot were actually AI. There was no human on the other end. And this is back in 2019, so 5 years ago. So you can only imagine what they're doing now. They haven't released any blog posts or updates on where they're at now, but again, you can only imagine. So for some of the ethical considerations and concerns that we might have about these technologies, one of them would be privacy concerns. So we don't know where this information is coming from. These companies are very lucrative. So OpenAI, DeepMind, other companies that are working to create this type of general intelligence, magic AI that we can ask it to do anything. They're pulling information from places that we're not too sure, and they're putting them into their black boxes. And we see the outcomes of these. So Facebook is now working with generating text to images. So you type in a cat with a top hat, and it's able to generate a photo for you. This model was trained on photos that were uploaded by Facebook users. So when you signed up for Facebook or Instagram or any Meta product, in that 113-page terms and conditions in there, it said that, those photos that you upload are not yours anymore. When they get uploaded, they do partially become their property. So they're able to do what they would want to do, which is use them as a training, using for training in their models. Another big issue is biases. So AI systems deliver biased results. These systems are based on information that they found online. Places could be overlooked, or places can be over policed. There could be a little bit too much information about certain things in a certain way. It's not a neutral process. Big data prioritizes what gets the most clicks. If something generates a lot of interest online, that doesn't typically mean that it's morally good or that it's true. It could just be making the most noise online, and that's where the data is being pulled. So a search engine could become an echo chamber for biases of the real world. It could further entrench prejudices and stereotypes online if that's what just gets circulated and it gets repeated and then pulled into more training models and then regurgitated again. This could lead to forms of discrimination. Amazon used to use a program that would look at potential new hires. It would look at their resumes. The model was originally trained on resumes of people that work there, but Amazon was predominantly male. So the algorithm decided to score female candidates lower. There would be male candidates that were on the men's chess team, and there would be female candidates with the same schooling, same background, same skills and qualifications, but they were on the women's chess team. And so Amazon's algorithm scored them lower because of that. They stopped this tool in 2017, but we can only imagine what might be going on now with other companies that are recruiting with AI, using AI resume readers, things like that. The White House initiated investigation into these predictive programs. There was an algorithm that was being used to identify if college students would drop out. The algorithm's main factor that it was taking in was the student's race. Over 500 universities across America were using this algorithm. We can also see job displacement in the future. Right now, it's hard to tell. We haven't seen it exactly yet. We can only imagine, because we've seen displacement in other areas due to automation. Between the 1990s and 2007, about 400,000 jobs were cut due to automation in factories, just having machines that work better, don't get sick, don't take days off. The US government also kind of incentivizes this. So if you have a company and you have a worker and you pay them $100, you're gonna have to also pay roughly $30 or so in income taxes and other taxes. But because of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, they lowered the taxes on automation machines, things that will make the business flow better. So now if you spend $100 on a program or a machine, you only have to pay about $3 in tax. So it makes more sense for companies to displace humans and use computers or machines. We've seen this here in the Bay Area, at least. So this is the Golden Gate Bridge. We have something called Fast Track. We used to have people at the end of the bridge that would take your money, take your toll, been replaced with now these tags that you stick onto the top of your windshield, and it all happens automatically. We can also worry about some security risks. If you have a chatbot that is trained on your information and somebody's able to socially engineer their way into getting a response out of it. This has even happened with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT was actually able to hand over people's names, occupations, contact information, because somebody asked it to recite a poem about those things. There's currently a lawsuit with Old Navy because their chatbot allegedly participated in illegal wiretapping by logging, recording, and storing conversations. This is going on right now in the Central District of California. The plaintiff in this thought they were communicating with a person. It was asking them about their day and sounded really human, and little did they know it was a chatbot that was logging all of their information. Information that they didn't know was being logged, things like keystrokes, mouse clicks, other computer data from their browser. Another worry is autonomous systems and decision making. So technology can progress faster than laws can be made. We're, again, in the Bay Area, so we see that Uber was test driving autonomous vehicles. We also saw other companies get in the action. There was a company called Waymo that's currently offering driverless taxis. There's ethical concerns that come up with these systems because we don't know who's at fault when there's an accident. Right now in California, traffic tickets can only be written if there's an actual driver in the car. So again, we're seeing that laws can't catch up to what's going on the road or what's going on in the world with autonomous technology. Maybe drones would be, flown by the military completely without human intervention. There's also the issue of social manipulation and deep fakes. So right now it's extremely easy to put someone's face on someone else's body. If you go on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere, you'll probably see tens of thousands of these just videos of political candidates saying things or singing a song or doing different things. So this can be done automatically. It could be done extremely efficiently. You can fake video, you can fake audio, fake photos. So if we originally went by, I don't believe it unless I see it, then now what we're seeing is also being faked. So we need to have better detection methods for these. The Department of Homeland Security, they state that deepfakes and the misuse of synthetic content pose a clear, present, and evolving threat to the public across national security, law enforcement, financial, and other societal domains. Cybercriminals are already using these programs. So in 2019, a voice mimicking software was used to impersonate the CEO of a British energy company. So somebody found a TED talk of the CEO, trained a voice mimicking software with his voice, called the CFO, asked for $400,000 to be wired. Excuse me, in this instance, it was $240,000. And they did it. Sounded real and worked. This happened again in 2020. A Japanese company based in Hong Kong had a similar issue. They lost $400,000. The program that they might have been using, it's hard to tell. We can only speculate. But there is a program called Lyrebird, Lyre, that was developed here in San Francisco. It's able to clone your voice with only 60 seconds of your recording of you speaking. This program is right now free to use and download. And again, the ethics in AI research. We don't know what these companies are doing, what they're doing with our data, what they're training their models with, who they're partnering it with, where they're getting funding, if it's private equity, if it's public dollars. We don't know if they're using this for good or if they're trying to get a product released as quick as possible to generate the most clicks and income. So Gabriela Ramos, the Assistant Director General of Social and Human Services at UNESCO, states that in no other field is the ethical compass more relevant than in artificial intelligence. These general purpose technologies are reshaping the way we work, interact, live. The world is set to change at a pace not seen since the deployment of the printing press about 6 centuries ago. AI technology brings major benefits in a lot of areas, but without proper ethical guardrails, we really do risk reproducing real world biases and discrimination, further fueling divisions, threatening just fundamental human rights and freedoms by allowing these programs to go to people who want to profit. And one of the parts that I don't really see a lot of people talk about, one of the concerns that I have, is the environmental impact. So training these complex models requires a lot of data and a lot of power, a lot of energy. Netflix alone, just the streaming service with 190 million subscribers and maybe people watching 1 to 2 hours a day, people estimate that takes up 1% of the American power grid, all of the power in America that's being consumed, 1% of it for Netflix. So we can only imagine what these AIs are also using. A recent study was conducted by researchers at the University of Massachusetts to determine how much energy is used to train one of these models. According to the results, training can produce about 626,000 pounds of carbon dioxide. That's the equivalent of flying from San Francisco to New York Round trip, 300 times. So 600 plane rides. That's about 5 times the emission that a single car gives in its entire life, including the emissions created while they manufactured that vehicle. So we're going in a digital world, things are electric, but we're still consuming vast amounts of power in order to produce these AI models. So we wanted to talk a little bit about ChatGPT. Now that we got some of the scary ethical stuff out of the way, we wanted to kind of give a little bit of a background history on OpenAI. So OpenAI originally started as a nonprofit foundation. It was, in fact, founded by Elon Musk. He, at the time, was extremely worried that AI would become this superhuman intelligence that would surpass us, and he had his own concerns. So he started OpenAI, founded it here in San Francisco, and they started off as a nonprofit. Sam Altman came and started to develop the company into more of a for-profit model because the technology, if you're using that much power, 626,000 pounds of carbon emissions being created, you're going to need capital, you're going to need funding behind that. So what ended up happening is they released the product so investors can start giving them money. That's a little bit of the history, but I digress. The applications on the library system. So what we've done here is we've actually used ChatGPT quite a bit to answer patron questions. We've had people give us books that they've read. They don't know the name of the book. They can't remember the author. We fed that information, descriptions of the story of the book, and it's generated responses and given us things that we can help our patrons with. We've been able to answer questions, provide recommendations, create displays, and you'll see a little bit more of that when we get into our video. And then again, some concerns. I mean, these systems are not perfect. They are capable of misinformation. They are capable of making mistakes. They are also capable of kind of tricking you. It could sound very, very real. It could look and sound perfect, but it is a language model at the end of the day. So ChatGPT is not a search engine. It's not a calculator. It is a language model. So it's meant to flow words in a way that sounds true, sounds natural, sounds pretty accurate. So I got a little video here, and I'm going to warn you, it might move pretty quick. We might jump back and forth, but you will get access to the chat logs at the end of this. So don't worry about catching all the words on the screen. You'll be able to read at your own pace. And again, this is a little older. You can see at the bottom, this is using ChatGPT September 25 version. Not a lot has really changed. If anything, it almost used to be better. There's something called drift in AI, where a model is open for people to use, and they might be messing with it so much that the answers might begin to become worse over time as more users interact with it. Let's see if the video works. So I copy and pasted a large prompt that I was working on. I'm asking it, I'm giving it some context. So I'm telling it where we work. I'm also telling it what we do or what we have. So I'm explaining that we work at a library, we're working to create programs, we have supplies. I wanted a specific format. I wanted to generate a table. So I asked it to do that. And I asked it the parameters, what I want in each of the columns. And so here you can see that it's able to generate pretty quick. So in the first column, we have the program name, then the title, the materials, ways that we could promote throughout the system, and then some instructions, some basic instructions for our staff. So we have some pretty cool ones here. So Diwali, Festival of Lights, Dia de los Muertos, a Mexican Day of the Dead, a little bit of a description there, tells us some of the materials. So cardboard, leather, paint, drumsticks, rulers to create an African drum making and rhythm workshop. So pretty cool. We just got that in just 1 second. So instead of thinking about brainstorming, chatting about it, I could ask it something, get a response right away. I thought that was pretty cool. So one of the things that I'm not too good with is alliterations. I have trouble with that. But ChatGPT does not. So I'm gonna ask it to go ahead and give me some cool program titles with alliterations, something that's kind of fun to say. And immediately we get a couple options here, and it formatted it kind of nice, give us bullet points, lists, bold. So we have some cool ones like Robot Rendezvous, Robust, Robotics Roundup. And the book recommendation is Rosie Revere, Engineer by Andrea Bietti. So found a book to go with it so we can have a collection tie. These are things that I probably would not have been able to think of. Astronomy Adventures, Astounding Astral Activities. And the book recommendation is by one of my favorite astronauts, Chris Hadfield, wrote a book called The Darkest Dark. I thought that was kind of cool. If you can do that, maybe you can generate like a social media post for us. And that's what I asked it to do. So I asked it to create a social media post, something that we can tweet out that talks about some of our graphic novels in our collection. So here, it added some emojis, it put some hashtags at the bottom. You could ask it to increase emojis by 5,000%. You could ask it to use specific hashtags. You could also just use this as a brainstorming. So you don't have to copy and paste this directly to your website. We wouldn't even recommend that. We would love to use this as a bouncing off point, a brainstorming spot. So pretty cool. After that, let's say we had a patron that wanted to use Libby, the program that we were talking about earlier, but we don't have instructions, or maybe the app updated or something. So I asked it to give us instructions on how to access Libby, and it has step-by-step instructions. So you download the app. It even knows that you get it on iOS, on the App Store for iOS, on Google Play for Android. It says, "Hi, welcome to Libby." Tap on that, and that's true. If you open your app and you try it out for the first time, that's exactly what it says. It also knows things specific about the app. It knows that you can actually adjust your borrowing period from 7, 14, or 21 days. So specific things about the application, because Libby has done a great job of providing documentation online. So there's a lot of information to pull from, but we're asking it specific things about a specific app. Got a great response out of it. So I thought that was pretty neat. If it can tell me how to use an app that I downloaded, can it tell me more about SharePoint? So a little context, San Mateo County Libraries, we use Microsoft 365. So we use Teams, we use Outlook. There's got to be some pretty cool things we can do on there. So that's what I've asked it here. And one of them kind of stuck out to me. One of them was called Power Automate. That sounds cool, but I don't know what that is. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste that and see if I can get a little bit more information about that. So gave me some great recommendations of what I could do throughout Microsoft 365 to better help patrons have a productivity boost. And oh, there it is. So Power Automate used to be called Microsoft Flow. That's right, I remember that. But I remember there was a way that you could connect your emails. So what we would have is patrons would email us in our branch email, but most of us were not signed into our branch email. We were signed into our personal email, or we were on Microsoft Teams on the chat group. So I asked it, is it possible to use Power Automate to send those emails directly to our group chat? And it is possible. And it gives us here the step-by-step instructions. So we have prerequisites. It'll go into what you need to do to set it up. So make sure you got those. It'll give you step-by-step instructions. So log in, create a flow, click on my flow. After that, new, and select instant cloud flow. It's able to produce instructions for us now. So we're doing something internally. We're doing something as staff members, and we're learning how to use our systems better. We could have Googled this, we could have gone through the forums, could have clicked around some links, but it's really cool because it's self-contained here. It's conversational. It remembers things, so you're able to kind of come back and expand on that. Give me more instructions. Tell it to me like I was 5 years old. Give it to me in Spanish. Give it to me in Farsi. It's pretty cool. So again, I went through that pretty quick. Promise you'll get a copy of this at the end. I want to give a little bit of some tips and tricks to kind of work with ChatGPT. My biggest recommendation is to be clear and concise. The better your prompt is, the better your response will be. If you're able to be precise in your prompt, you will get a much more accurate response out of it. So clear, direct language kind of helps generate more relevant output. Provide context. So like in the first one, I said we work at a library. We have these things. Really good to kind of set the stage so it knows what the parameters are in your situation. There could be another library that has completely different things. There could be another library that has the exact same things. It doesn't know unless you kind of specify what you have, what the context is, give it some parameters. You can also ask it for specific formats, and that's one of my favorite things. So as you saw, I was actually able to ask it to produce a table format. You could ask it for bullet points. You could give it a large piece of text, ask it to summarize. You could ask it to create it into bullet points. You could ask it to turn it into a step-by-step guide. You could have it be a numbered list. You can ask for a different tone. So if something sounds kind of angry, you can ask it to change the tone to sound nicer. You can also change the dialect. You can ask it to talk like it's Shakespeare. You can do a lot of really cool things with it. And that's where our fourth bullet point is. So experiment, try it out. During my lunch break, I'll watch those, 10 GPT hacks to check out in 2024. It's really cool what other people are doing. So if you have a way of thinking and it works for you, someone else might have a really cool idea for something that you might want to try. And again, to remember, it's a conversational model. It acts like you're conversing back and forth with it. It's not like Google search where you kind of have a very specific thing you can type in, site, semicolon, to find things on a specific website. There are tips and tricks on how to do that. I won't get into the minute details, but talk to it, kind of converse back and forth. It's really cool to remember things that you chatted about. And each chat that you have will be a little different than the other ones in the way that it will have memory of what it originally spoke about. So you might get different responses if you have different history within that chat log. And again, coming back to my first point, avoid vague and ambiguous prompts. The more vague you are, the larger of a data set it has to pull from to get you an answer. So if you ask it something that's controversial, or you ask it something that there's a million different possibilities for, you might get one of those million one day, you might get another one the other day. You would want to laser focus on what you want to get out of it specifically. And another thing that I didn't write on here, but one thing that I recommend doing is, because ChatGPT is capable of being wrong, producing misinformation, talk to it about something that you personally know about. If there's something that you have a lot of knowledge about, or it's one of your hobbies or your skills, and you feel quite confident in it, chat with it. See where the holes in ChatGPT are, the areas that it's not able to give you the best answers in, and use that as when you come back and think about its prompts. So that was one of the programs that we use. Again, ChatGPT, completely free. It requires your phone number though, but you could use a fake email. This one, Scribe, it's a Google Chrome extension. You only have to provide your email. You could also use a fake email. And we like it a lot. It's actually been really cool. So it's able to generate how-to guides. This works great for staff. If you want to train someone else on doing something, or you have a new hire and you want to give them step-by-step instructions. Me as a technology specialist here at the San Carlos Library, I had to do this all the time. I would take a website, take a screenshot, zoom in on it, put it in Word, put arrows, number it, explain what I was doing, go back to the website, take another screenshot, and do that all over again. Well, I don't really do that anymore. Now I use Scribe, and I'll show you what that looks like. So get into the video here. Again, I apologize. I'll be moving quick, but again, you'll get a copy of this. As you saw up there, I activated Scribe. It's a plugin, and I want to get someone a museum pass, but there's like 4 different drop-down menus that you have to go through. I can definitely explain it to someone. I can definitely walk through, but there's no guarantee that once they walk away that they'll remember every single step, every single click that I made. I might not have enough time to, give them instructions that in the way that I normally would, where I would take screenshots and edit them. Here you can see something. So it's asking me about my browser. Pop-ups are blocked. Scribe doesn't know that though. Scribe is only capable of seeing what you have in the browser, specifically the website. So 58 seconds, it caught all those clicks that I did, and it's now turning it into a PDF. I'm able to come back and change some things. So it's very literal. I hit tab on my keyboard to go from library card number down to pin, and it recognized that, so it's very literal. I'm able to add another step. So if it missed something because I scrolled and that was not a click, I'm gonna put a little bit of info. So scroll down, find the museum you want. And I also want to tell people that you can also see other dates that are available. And again, it's being super literal here. I clicked on 27 and that's what it registered. What I know, what other people would know, is that that's a date on the calendar. So I went back, changed it to say that states another date on the calendar. And again, I'm just kind of cleaning some things up here, moving super quick just to kind of show you how fast we can do this. I got a duplicate because I clicked on something 2 times. Remember, it gave me a pop-up. I fixed that. I came back to it. But Scribe, very literal, looks at what I did on the website, recorded every step of the process. And here I am speed running. And there it is. Step-by-step instructions on how to get museum passes. You have to jump through a bunch of drop-down menus, click on a bunch of things. Looks like in total there's 11 steps. And the length that it takes you to make something is the length of time that it takes to get the PDF. So it took me 58 seconds to scroll through and get what I want. And in 58 seconds, I got my PDF here. So like I promised, you will have access to these two. So I'll wait a moment. So if you want to pull out your phone, and if you already have ChatGPT installed, there's a chance it might open up your app. I've had trouble with that personally. But the one on the left here, that's the museum passes. So you're able to see that PDF that I scrolled by super quick with. So you can go ahead and save that, check it out. With Scribe, you will have watermarks. It's not the end of the world, though. I think it's pretty good. So we've been using this for a lot of cool things. So we had a patron that wanted to learn how to reserve a computer. Same thing. We went through the process with them and we generated PDF instructions, printed them out, gave it to them. We've been able to do this for staff training. We had another staff member ask me, how do I do something on the back end, one of our other systems? And I could have done it the way I usually done, but instead I went through Scribe, clicked on everything I wanted to, fixed the PDF. It looked good, and I sent it over. So I'm just going to wait a minute here so people have a chance to scan these. All right. So that kind of concludes it. I'll open it up for questions. I do want to preface it by saying I am not an expert. I'm just someone that likes to mess around with these things. And I thought it was really cool and I wanted to share it with you guys. So I apologize if I don't have all the answers, but I am here to try. So I'm going to open up the chat and see if there's any there. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Thank you for everyone that came today. I really do appreciate it. Sorry if it was a little here and there. We practiced originally with 2 people.
I am going to copy a link to a post survey in the chat. Here we go. If you would.
Yeah, I'm going to go back one here. So in case anybody still needed to get that QR code.
Oh, sure.
I'll leave it there, but I'm available for questions if anyone needs. And yeah, there will be a survey in the chat. If you'd like to follow up, let us know how we did.
Yeah, we would really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your thank yous. So thank you to Karen, Kristen, Sandy. Thank you. Big thank you to Evie for putting this together and helping us connect. Thank you for Alan, helping me out, answering a lot of questions for me. Thank you, Cindy. I know you were here early, so I appreciate you sticking around for us.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
You said something about being concise. I have heard with some AI, and I'm thinking like mostly like Adobe products and Canva, that the more description, the better. Is that not necessarily true?
You said the more description, the better?
Yeah.
Yes, generally it is because you could have a lot of chatter and noise online about what things are. And so it's kind of muddies the water when the program is trying to find its source information. So if you ask for a car, you can get any type of car. If you ask for a white car, then again, you can get any type of vehicle. It could be a Tesla, it could be a Mustang, it could be a truck. If you ask it for, a white car with 4 wheels, again, it's not really helping it. It's something that's already, but if you start asking for a convertible with black rims and a spoiler, and you get more specific about it, then you're generally going to get a better response. But that again goes with the experimentation. I recommend trying it out. Ask it something pretty big, ask it something very concise and precise, and you'll see the differences in what you're going to get out of it. Because again, you're kind of laser focusing the training, the data that it's being trained on. So if there's a lot of noise online about a certain topic, then you're going to get, it's going to try to give you the average or the median of all that information. But once you get more specific and you're kind of focusing on one aspect of that, then you're going to get generally a lot better responses. You're going to get things that are specific to that, or it's going to be able to pull information from areas that already are super focused. So yeah, if you say, I want a cat, there's a lot of types of cat. If you say you want an orange cat, you might get a Garfield looking one, but the more specific you get, the better your outcomes are. That's just generally true with anything that you're looking online. When you're looking at anything on Google, you start putting in quotes, you start putting in more words because you want to narrow down your search. So it's cool to have it be vague when you're trying to get just anything out there. But generally for productivity, to get the best response, people recommend to be more precise. Yeah, good question.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else have other questions? Feel free to pop in if you don't want to type it out.
Yeah, we're on Zoom, so feel free to take the mic. Hopefully my presentation was just that good. It was just able to answer everybody's questions before you had a chance to think about them.
It was very thorough. I liked it a lot.
Thanks so much, Manny. And sorry Jess couldn't be here, but I really appreciate it for you guys repeating this presentation. I thought it was really awesome when you did it at our staff day. I'm going to sign off now because I got to go on desk, but thanks again. I loved
Thank you. I appreciate it, Evie, like always.
Thanks for producing, Michaela.
Yeah, thanks for showing up, Evie.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. And I forgot to mention that our presentation was also made with AI. I'll drop it in the chat, the name of it, but it's a really cool program. It's free to use. And that's another thing I kind of forgot to mention is that these are, for the most part, free to use. They might be a product down the line. They might charge you $20 a month. They might sell it to some corporate manager that takes it away. But for now, we created this presentation with something called gamma.app. It's really cool. You're able to kind of talk about what you would like your presentation to look like. And it did it all pretty much automatically. We came in and fixed it. I added the videos and all of those things. But again, for productivity, for brainstorming, sometimes the first step is the longest. So getting things started will give you more time to focus on the details.
I write instructions all the time for stuff in the makerspace, and so now my wheels are turning.
Check it out. It's so cool. It's free. I use the burner email. So with all these companies, one of my worries is, are they rushing to get a product out there so they could be the first ones, or they can, get the market share? Sometimes I worry that they might not be focusing on security and privacy. So burner emails. I Google 10-minute mail. You get an email address that you're able to copy and paste. It even has an inbox, so you're able to actually get the verification number and all that. And boom, it's gone forever. It's not tied to you.
That's awesome.
Cool for like free samples, subscriptions, free trials and all that too. But looks like people are signing off. No questions. Thank you to everyone who stuck around.
Well, thanks so much, Manny. I am sorry that Jeff wasn't able to be here, but you did a great job. So much to think about, really. So
yeah, I wanted to
coming.
focus on the ethical stuff. I think that's, as library workers, as people that work for the public, I think it's important to talk about it. I don't want to be the tech bro that says this is the best thing ever. You should give it all your money. But yeah, thank you again, Michaela, for producing, helping us out, and making sure everything ran smoothly today.
I think it was a good balance. So
yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for coming.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Okay.